I wanted to sink my teeth into something really innovative and transformative, and that was blockchain sports. Nobody else has actually taken the leap to try to bridge this gap between real world assets, these sports and athletes, and the on-chain world. So this is now we're here.
Hey everyone, Susan and Bren here. We are coming to you live with Andre, and today we're going to, first of all, introduce him. This will be your first video call with us, live with him, and probably not the last, right, Andre?
I hope so. I hope for much more.
So first of all, thank you so much for joining us, for saying yes and spending this time with us so that we could share more information with our community and their people that are invited. Yeah, so thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I'm so grateful that you guys actually want to learn more about this. This is a massive compliment, and I hope to share as much as possible.
Just a little bit of background for those of you watching. We first met Andre in person in January in Fortaleza, Brazil. We had the pleasure of having chat over breakfast and coffee, which turned into multiple hours of just great intellectual conversation, inside details, and more. So we're happy to be continuing on this path with Andre.
So for everyone watching, Andre is the mastermind behind the underlying architecture of the blockchain sports ecosystem. And for everyone watching, Andre, do you just want to give us a bit of a window, a bit of a glimpse into your background, what led you here, and what made you choose to align yourself with the blockchain sports ecosystem?
Sure. Well, first, I guess, hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be talking to you today. As they said, my name is Andre Didovsky. I got into crypto many years back, and over the course of my time in crypto, I've served a multitude of roles with many of the industry's leading projects, including but not limited to TrustSwap, VeChain, and Chain GPT and others. And while I've been working with the projects, I've primarily dealt with systems architecture, meaning I try to actually design the applications as granularly as possible to make sure that they make sense, number one, technically, and number two, for the actual business. So it's a sustainable process. I guess I found blockchain sports and I found each other as like through some kind of serendipity where I'm in search of new opportunity. I didn't want to just settle for some regular another project on CoinMarketCap. I wanted to sink my teeth into something really innovative and transformative, and that was blockchain sports. Nobody else has actually taken the leap to try to bridge this gap between real world assets, these sports and athletes, and the on-chain world. So this is now we're here.
Excellent. And isn't it true that the node concept to really bring tactile actual value to the founders package was your brainchild?
I mean, I believe every great idea on this planet starts from somebody, but ultimately it's a group effort. But I think that's a high praise, but I appreciate it and I'll take it. Thank
you. Excellent. So shall we dive in? And we only have a few, but there may be big ones.
Let's do it.
So this one is high level, blue sky, essentially, Andre. So in the white paper, you've added the section thesis, unlocking new economic primitives. And for those of you watching, please do spend some time. I'm not just saying this because we're here, we're talking about blockchain sports, but I think it's the white paper that I've enjoyed the most. And it keeps on adapting and growing. So please do take some time to read it. As far as tech and white papers go, it's an easy read. So go for it. So unlocking new economic primitives. Speak to the passive venture capital people. Big picture risk mitigation, please. Thinking of longevity and sustainability potential. What makes blockchain sports unique, competitive, sustainable, and with a high probability of longevity, please?
This is a pretty loaded question.
I
I'll
know.
try to just start with something. No. I'll try to start with something and hopefully cover everything. I think the most powerful part of this question is what actually makes blockchain sports unique, especially in the landscape of crypto today that's full of so many different technologies. I think that we can hone in specifically on the on-chain sports section. Right now, it's floating at again a market capitalization of 2 billion, 2.5 billion, like give or take, depending on the crypto status. And this is a valuation that's been ascribed to this entire industry based on one general innovation. That was something called fan tokens, which was pioneered by Chile. To put it in like a as comprehensive as a perspective as possible, Chile's created one innovation using three technologies. Blockchain sports has three innovations, and these are, besides the operations of the blockchain itself, it's specifically referring to the player transfer market, and one more that we'll be revealing soon. I don't want to drop everything, but we'll be revealing the third innovation very soon. It has to do more with how the AI analytics and on-chain data work actually together and how we preserve the privacy in it. And besides the three innovations, we have what is that? A stack of about 12 to 14 technologies. So again, just as that as a barometer, one innovation with three technologies being valued at about 2.5 billion versus three innovations at 12 to 14 technologies, that alone gives us way more runway to actually grow much further than the current on-chain sports industry is. That's I hope I answered one part of that question. Now, the other parts of that question was around risk mitigation.
Yeah. So in other words, all of it is about risk mitigation. So what makes, and let's think of it as the blockchain and the technology in of itself. Of course, it's connected to sports, but what about the technology itself? Because there's other blockchains out there. So what makes the blockchain, the nodes, the technology unique and competitive, which it's for venture capital contributors, that's mitigating risk, thinking that, okay, I'm going to be involved in this project because it stands out from the others. It has strengths. It is competitive with all the other blockchains out there. It's not just another blockchain, in other
Yeah,
words.
that's actually a great question. I think this probably boils down to how we chose the architecture, and we specifically chose modularity as the way we want to build it. Modularity is like a new paradigm for blockchains because before this, most of the projects were monolithic. Modularity basically makes us again a future proof. If in the future something like Bitcoin or Ethereum wanted to upgrade its runtime, which is responsible for it's the kernel responsible for everything in the blockchain, they would have to halt the chain and then rip that code out to put it back in. With Athleta, because we use Substrate, all of the independent modules, like hence modularity, are able to be changed in like basically while operating. So if there's some massive code adjustment as the chain is printing blocks, it will not halt the blockchain. It will continue operating under the pretense of the previous consensus protocol. That's just one part, and that's just on modularity. We're fork resistant. So forks are something that always happens in blockchains and causes community splits and then causes chaos. We are, because of how we split the block production and block finalization mechanism, we are able to effectively guarantee never to fork. So there's no issue there's no fear that the network will be overtaken by malicious actors, because if anything ever goes wrong, the network will always correct itself as was originally programmed. And probably compared to everything. And the third element of what makes us actually future proof is something related to interoperability, which is two-pronged: parachains and XCM. So right now, the biggest project in crypto and smart contracts is Ethereum, not including Bitcoin, is Ethereum. And Ethereum just changed its entire vision on how it's going to develop into something called roll-up centrism. We are effectively have that roll-up centric architecture just using parachains from day one. So we're already ahead of where Ethereum is only headed to now. So we believe, again, and that's for parachains. For XCM, this effectively allows us to either plug into or have any other chain plug into us and continue operating. So we're not here to hurt everybody else. We're here to cooperate with everybody else. We want to bring the entire industry up.
So for anyone that didn't understand the technical details, which is fine, would you say thereby blockchain, the technology, the platform itself is very adaptable to future technological changes and demands for growth and scalability. Is that a correct phrase? Adaptable.
That sounds
Like
much better than
adapt.
the way I said it. Yes.
No, actually, it's just the other side of it. Yours sounds much better, but for any of us, don't feel the pressure to understand. It's just that Andre is brilliant and this is his masterpiece architecture. So if you don't understand the forks and all that, it's fine. What makes this platform have longevity and have sustainability for future technological advancements is it's adaptable and they forethought what's coming, what's going to be needed, and in that way did risk management.
And you don't have to, with the modularity, you don't have to interrupt the uptime. So to keep it simple, you can change the oil in the engine while the airplane's in the air without having to land the airplane.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we covered all of that. If we need to circle back to that big blue sky question, we certainly will, and add more information to the video. And thank you for that, Andre. Now, let's dive into some questions that will also help the founders, hack, and node owners understand or discover the multiple digital streams of revenue with the components. So, Bren, do you want to take this from here? Tokens, wallets?
Andre, if we were to run through some hypothetical examples, if we were to extrapolate out and project ourselves into September or October, when the NFT marketplace is live, let's say there's someone, they want to participate, they want to buy an NFT. What would that process look like, and how would that feed back in terms of revenue to a founding partner? Because they own the nodes, they benefit from validating transactions. How? Give us a hypothetical example. There's a kid in Portugal, he wants to buy 10% of the NFT of a particular player. What does that process look like? And what transactions take place that would benefit a founding partner?
Okay, another great question. It's two-pronged. The marketplace it allows for trading NFTs, but the marketplace itself is two product. It's not just a marketplace to buy and sell NFTs. It's also a launch pad to mint NFTs. So technically speaking, every time a new NFT is brought into existence, it's minted. A tiny portion of all the fees collected through this process is allocated back to the proper founding tier, founder pack member tiers, if that's the right way to articulate it. And then all of the trades that take place in the marketplace takes a fee, just like OpenSea or Blur or any one of these other common NFT marketplaces. We have the same business model. A percentage of all the fees that we earn, again, on the trading of these NFTs, gets directed back to these founders packs. So in a nutshell, whether minting, buying, selling, or just trading, every single transaction on the marketplace incurs a fee. A portion of that fee is allocated directly to the founder packs, to the nodes.
And all of those transactions are initiated by the retail market has to first of all buy the tokens in order to start any of the process in the marketplace, correct?
Correct. Well, the marketplace is general purpose. The athlete NFTs is what blockchain sports the asset provides. We anticipate tons of other NFT projects from other chains to also come to our marketplace. The marketplace will ultimately not just be on Athleta, it'll be on every chain. So even if the market collects transactions on Polygon or Ethereum, those fees will still get redirected to the founders pack.
And if a person, let's say they own Polygon, if they want to come from that blockchain and participate in blockchain sports NFT marketplace to participate in purchasing those NFTs, they have to come over a bridge. Are they going through a native wallet that is native to this blockchain, or how would their access look? What would their access look like?
Yes, at least for the first iteration of the chain, before we activate all these interchain modules to seamlessly. If somebody's on Polygon, they would bridge over using our own bridge, Athleta Bridge, which incurs fees, of course, like any other bridge would, and that gets directed to the founders packs. Once bridged over, they would be able to bridge directly into either Polygon or Atla coins, and they would just go to the marketplace and do business as usual. The whole
Yeah.
from the user side of things, everything should be as intuitive and as good, if not better, of an experience that currently exists in the crypto space right now.
So once the word gets out there about, from sideline blockchains, from other blockchains that are out there, once the word spreads and they start coming across the bridge from Solana, from Polygon, from Matic, all of that incurs transactional volume. Once they participate and purchase the native token, us as founders own the nodes that are going to bring into existence the initial circulating supply. So inside of the wallet, if they come over a bridge in a decentralized exchange, what kind of transactional volume do you see? Like, how long do you anticipate it would take, let's say, to reach a user base of 3 million users or something like that, based on the influence that you saw, the influencers that you saw in Dubai?
Oh man, that billion-dollar question, is understanding how this is going to scale from the user side. Well,
Right.
I try to be as objective as possible whenever I'm trying to project. So my personal estimations, I'm assuming we will be able to draw in, based on our current run rate, at least 1 million users in the first year, triple 3 to 4 million the following year. But the way I'm trying to, what's more important for, I believe, is how much value each of those users bring. So if we have 3 million users, but they're doing one transactions, that's one thing. I would rather have us have maybe 300,000 users. They're doing 10 to 100 transactions per day. So we're trying to focus on these high volume actors to come into the ecosystem. That's my personal approach to it. And as it relates to the wallet itself is basically a portal into the Athleta ecosystem. So the wallet contains the bridge, governance, staking. Every single module within the blockchain sports will exist in the application. It's just one convenient place where to interact with all of it.
And there's a lot of competition out there for acquisition of people's attention. We're bombarded with digital deluge from social media, all types of things. But I think with what you said there in terms of having those hyper engaged, hyperactive users, I think the space that we're in here kind of solves that problem, because we're talking about raving fans. We're talking about sports fans here. They don't need to be sold. They don't need any arm twisting. They're already engaged in this. They're already fanatical about it. So in and of itself, I think once the word gets out, it's going to be, the engagement, the retention on something like this is going to be huge, especially as they see valuation of players increase in real time on the blockchain, you know.
Yeah. Also, I'm sorry. Maybe I just also I'm a little too deep in the weeds. What I'm saying is that when I say 300,000 highly active users, most likely we're going to have over 1 million users the first year. It's just whenever we start throwing these numbers out, it starts getting difficult to gauge how is this possible. But just like you said, we're bringing people in from the sports industry. They're already active. They don't need to be sold. We just anticipate the amount of activity they do would be classified as like more passive. Again, if somebody's doing 5 transactions a month, we classify that as passive. We're trying to shoot for really, really high volume activity. But of course, most like, and again, another wonder of the wallet is that it should abstract away as much of the complexity for the user as possible. So right now, going into MetaMask, you're going to be switching networks, going into plugging in which RPC, how am I going to actually move assets around. We try to make this as intuitive as possible. So you just come in and interact with it as if there was minimally blockchain related stuff under it. Of course, there's certain elements we cannot get over, but we try to streamline the process for users.
So on that note, the wallet it'll be an Atla wallet or Athleta wallet. It'll be a wallet meant for use on the blockchain. It'll have more use cases than just the sports fans. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. The wallet is general purpose. It will service both the crypto and the Athleta and the sports industry, and of course Athleta. If people will be able to use Athleta to interact with Ethereum and other networks, we're just as flexible as everything else.
Excellent. And so that is one of the node owners. So founders pack, whether you have one node or multiple nodes, part of your revenue stream is wallet, the bridge, the tokens, everything that we've talked about so far. So in other words, as the whole community and the use case grows, Andre, that those fees will grow as well. Is that correct? The revenue.
Yes, yes.
And we're only talking about digital rewards here. I mean, this is one of the few blockchain projects that actually penetrate the real world with the real world use case. And so, with that in mind, I'm sure, Andre, I know you're a busy guy, but you may have seen Dr. Eric Nipute's recent video. I mean, that technology in and of itself is going to be capturing massive amounts of data. That technology that's going to be uploaded to the blockchain, and the demand for that data is going to increase over time too. Wouldn't you agree?
That is ultra high frequency demands, and that typically the clientele that would be demanding that kind of data is ready to pay a much higher premium,
Right.
for this kind of information. But Dr. Eric is brilliant, and the technology he's presenting has actually forced us to take our architecture to the next level, because that data, as you understand, is sensitive. It has to be carefully dealt with and stored on chain. That's why
Right.
was something that we're going to be introducing in the future. Again, this is it's called FHE. I know this is technical, but fully homomorphic encryption, basically the absolute cutting edge of zero knowledge technologies in order to ensure compliance of all this information with any jurisdiction around the world.
Because not all data is created equal. Read the white paper. They've already got it covered. So can you dive into the data storage that node owners, founders pack, purchasers will have before anyone that purchased before April 1st, the data storage, unique data storage that we have access to?
Okay, well, there are different data exists, and like you said, not all data is equal. When we say data, there's also data types like text files, like a document, Word document. There's videos, images, audio files. There's a lot of different data types other than just numbers that hash somewhere in a ledger. That's what essentially what this data storage portion of Athleta will do. Because as the network matures, we want to introduce more of these core utilities that increase the value of the network. The network doesn't just conduct transactions. It's also going to be storing this information and then serving it to build something like a decentralized CNN. If you want to build a sports network, where are you going to source your videos? Where are you going to host it? You're going to have to pay server costs. Instead of having to build this massive news and media startup and having to have all this overhead, you can just plug into Athleta and tap into all the information that's stored. Now, why this is valuable to FP to the founders pack people specifically is or the earliest nodes is because number one, the costs associated with data storage are an order of magnitude greater, 10 times greater than transactional costs related to regular processing. So, and as a baseline example, if the node network, regular nodes, earn $1 million from transaction fees over the course of 3 months, the data storage nodes would, assuming they have the same amount of transactions, would earn $10 million. It's just the data itself is much more, it's much heavier information requiring more computation, which in turn turns to more costs with serving it and storing it. So this ultimately brings more revenue to all the nodes involved in that specific storage category.
Excellent. Thank you.
Another projection, I guess you could say, into the future. Let's say we have someone on the retail market side. The inner athlete technology, it's captured data from, biomechanical performance of an athlete in Brazil. That how granular and how visible do you see that being on the blockchain? If a person wants to really, dive into the performance of that athlete over time, what do you expect they'll be able to see?
I mean, ideally, as much as the athletes whose data it is, their associated institution and the law would allow. as much as those three entities combined would allow. So that's part of the beauty in zero knowledge privacy tech, like fully homomorphic encryption. Basically, all that people would see transparently if they went to just inspect the chain would be that, for example, they know the athlete's address, they would be able to see his address, and they would just be able to see a blob of data that says he has provided all of his biometrics, he had, like, everything's checked off. But they wouldn't be able to actually inspect it unless, for example, this is not how it's going, but for example, they own one of his NFTs and he's given authority to any one of his NFT holders to access his biometric files. That's just one way to do it.
So if a person though on the retail side is making a buying decision, you know, they're, let's say, shopping around on different athletes, in this case, let's say football for the first sport, how would they make that decision if they don't get to see the data until they're on the other side?
Sorry, all of the performance information will be public, absolutely, because that's part of why we need an oracle in our system to make sure all the information is accurate. So performance related stuff is all public. Again, the biometrics related to their own, like, blood types, their injuries, all this stuff. That's what I meant. I should have been more clear about what I meant. Performance data will all be publicized. And of course, just as you can read it on any explorer like Etherscan, you'll be able to see it in multiple different ways in the NFT itself and on the blockchain itself, depending on how you want to look for this information.
How do you see the marketplace receiving this once the word starts to spread, once it's out there? I mean, when you see the legitimacy of a project like this, there's probably going to be less friction and resistance to getting listed on centralized exchanges, for example. How fast do you see the adoption and the acceptance of this project?
That's a really good question. I'm certain from day one, from basically mainnet launch, we would have already established all of the we would have had all the conversations with all the established players that they would already known about us. There's already a decent amount of people in the Web3 space, crypto space, that already knows about us and have already actually begun helping us configure our systems and theirs. So then whenever we are public, we'll just be omnipresent everywhere we need to be. The growth, I believe we're going to explode. Honestly, I think we're going to have more of a problem in trying to retain how fast we list on everything, because we're going to need to be very selective. We want to also make sure that we're only on quality platforms. We don't want to be on every platform just we can. We want to be on there where it matters most.
Strategic awareness.
Of course. Again, we're deriving our go-to-market strategies based on, of course, all the best practices that have been done by plenty of the leaders in the past. Plus, well, again, we're very blessed to be doing so at this time. Again, this is assumptions, of course. Nobody has a crystal ball, but we're anticipating the next 12, hopefully 18 months to be very, very good for the crypto space. And we're just going to be able to ride that wave alongside the entire industry.
Yeah, it's perfect timing. We're, like one of our colleagues says, we're not opening an ice cream shop in the winter. You know, this is perfect timing. We're just entering the market when everyone's buying temperature is high, you know.
Absolutely.
Anything else that you can think of, or any thoughts that you'd like to share with an audience of venture capital contributors who are looking for the longevity? Any information or data that you can share with them on the sustainability and longevity of blockchain, the technology behind it, the whole project?
Well, ultimately, again, and it could be my bias, I believe just because we're at this real world asset intersection, I mean, maybe this is a little too far out to project, but I'm counting in decades. So I believe the next 10 years will be transformative for the industry as a whole. And if history is anything to go to base our projections on, since inception, I believe the top 10 cryptocurrencies have changed who has been included almost every single year. Like, again, if you look back 5 years, that 10, besides Bitcoin and ETH, everything has been in and out and always changed. And I believe just because of what we're doing and how we're doing it, the market will genuinely support us 100% and help bring us up to that level. Again, I'm very, very, very optimistic and bullish on what happens with real world assets, because real world assets and are technically, or can be, economically decoupled from the macro picture. So again, an athlete's contract has less to do with inflation than does something like Bitcoin or some other asset. And this predictability is what makes us so appealing to other players in the space.
And that real use case coupled with the adaptable technology in the platform gives us a really strong hold on sustainability and longevity.
Of course, absolutely. The architecture itself, and like you said, guys, if you can spare even just 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes to gloss over the white paper, just to get like a bird's eye view and understand what's going on, I strongly recommend it. It'll highlight what we're doing, highlight how we're doing it, and for those interested, dive in deeper and find out. We try to keep it minimally technical. That we will be uploading more design graphs and schematics on how all this stuff works, but just to get like a feel for it. We're as advanced a technological stack as there can be. We use every single military grade standards for encryption. We do everything that could possibly be done. And yes, we specifically chose modularity to make sure that we're adaptable in the future. So one of the fears that's always lurking in the crypto space is quantum computing is going to crush us. Honestly, I genuinely believe it's not. If anything, quantum computing is going to give us a new module to implement into our own chain to combat quantum computation itself. So we're very, 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 you can't kill it. You just can't. Once it's launched, you can't stop it too. That's the beauty of the node network. That's why these validators are so important. That's why it's so important to be a node. Once the blockchain is live, you cannot turn it off.
Would you say Atleta has, quantum resistant cryptography?
Does it have? I mean, nobody really knows, because people are assuming that Bitcoin's SHA-256 is quantum resistant, but there's camps of people saying that it's not. Regardless of whichever hashing algorithms we're using to secure it, we will be able to make it quantum resistant. And again, this is another. It's going to get complicated fast, but that's another beauty of being fork resistant. So even if a quantum computer comes and tries to, again, we have to understand, how does quantum computing actually impact it? Would it break the network and then withdraw everybody's assets? And technically speaking, the only real violation that can be done is it would halt the chain and stop it from going forward. And if that happens, we would just continue operating. Again, that's the beauty of fork resistance. That means there would be some malicious activity trying to pin it down. We would just continue operating unperturbed, because they would try to fork them. Again, this is kind of complex, I apologize, but they would try to fork the network and make it follow an untrue path, whereas we can use social consensus through our governance module to take it as we would need to.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We will close it out there. Thanks for sharing your time with us. And for those of you watching, thank you for sharing your time with us. Time is our most valuable commodity, and we appreciate you trusting us and spending it with us. Any closing thoughts, Bren?
If you want a reliable, sustainable way to put your money to work in something where you have geniuses like Andre working behind the scenes, carrying projects like this to the finish line, this is definitely something you want to align with and put some risk capital towards, because as we know, getting in at the ground floor of something this disruptive has the potential for significant returns if you're patient and you can see into the future. It's not get rich quick, but if you see the type of stellar talent that blockchain sports has under its belt, like Andre, you can see how a project like this is going to be a huge success. So yeah, thanks for your time, everyone. Appreciate you, Andre.
Thank you guys so much. I hope I answered everybody's questions. If you have anything else you'd like to learn, please just hop on over to our website, white paper, reach out to the team. We're all very friendly people. We would love to answer your questions directly.